Boys, it's been a long time. It's been way too long. It's been like 2 or 3 months. The last video I made was on the best trick plays of the 2022 season. I made that one, then also a recap of the Vikings 2022 NFL season, pretty close together, but then I didn't post for a long time partially because I just had a lot to do with school, so I wasn't able to do that, but also I was lazy and didn't want to record a video. I could probably start filming a video, edit it, and get it posted in less than like 3 hours, but I'm just too lazy to do that any given Sunday. Anyways, today we're going to be talking a little bit about the Vikings offseason moves, some free agents trades, a little bit about the draft, and some about the upcoming season. This is the Just Stop podcast. Alright, so I'm going to get started by talking mostly about free agency. I'm not going to spend a whole lot on the draft because I'll be honest, I don't care that much about the picks the Vikings made. I'll talk a little bit about Jordan Addison, the first round pick, maybe a little bit other than that, but not a whole lot. Anyway, let's get started. So, I'm going to just go from top to bottom. That's the easiest way to do it. Dalvin Tomlinson. We were going to get rid of so many veterans this year. I honestly think the only veterans we kept, not unsurprisingly, were Harrison Smith and Kirk Cousins, if you can call him that. I mean, you literally can't. He's played here most of his career now. But, Dalvin Tomlinson, Adam Thielen, Patrick Peterson, a lot of those guys they were eventually going to leave. I'll be honest, Adam Thielen was the biggest jerk about leaving. Again, he and his wife Caitlin talk so much on social media about wanting to go to a place where he'd be a bigger role in the offense. Adam, you are a 33-year-old wide receiver, almost 33 years old. You really think you can have the big part in the offense? Obviously, he went to the Panthers. Their top receivers, other than Adam Thielen, are Laviska Shenault and Terrace Williams, I think. They have no one, so he somehow made it to a place where he's actually going to give you a big role, probably the wide receiver one role, unless Laviska Shenault just does a lot better. But honestly, Dalvin Tomlinson, I mean, he was a decent run stopper, but he was honestly better when he played for the Giants. Statistically, we really didn't just have very good defensive players. Most of our guys were just getting out of their prime. Like Eric Hendrickson, Harrison Smith are just slowly fading out of their prime. So our run defense was kind of bad. Our average yards per carry allowed was actually one of the better in the league. But overall our defense was so bad. And then against Adam Thielen, this was a guy I legitimately thought, because he's just a Minnesota homeboy, I thought he would stay with us his entire career. It was either him or Harrison Smith that would stay with us his entire career, and I thought it would be Adam Thielen just because he's a Minnesota kid. And I was slightly surprised when he left, but at the same time, the way he left, he didn't deserve to be here anymore. I'll be honest, I still love Adam Thielen. I'm never gonna start hating him. Still got a special place in every heart of a Minnesota Vikings fan, but he just left on a bad note. But signed it. But 2-year, $18 million contract, $9 million a year. That's actually freaking good for how old he is. And the last. I don't think he's broken 1,000 yards since 2018. 2018, he was one of the top receivers in the league at 1,373 yards. 2019, he was injured a lot of the year. 2020, he got almost 1,000 yards. 2021, he had I think 700 or 800, a little more than. I think KJ Osborne had more than him in 2021. 2022, again, it was more of the same thing. And then Josh Oliver. I mean, I hear from Purple for the Win. I know nothing about Josh Oliver, but supposedly he's one of the best blocking tight ends in the league, unless that's Purple for the Win being biased. By the way, Purple for the Win is my favorite Vikings podcast. Definitely check it out if you're watching this. That Dre 7, the one of the two people that are watching this video, go check him out. His podcasts are way better than mine, I'll admit. But I mean, Josh Oliver is pretty young, and he's more of a blocking tight end, so he could be using a run game. Use a lot of 12 personnel sets, which is one running back, two tight ends. I think that's how it works. Maybe it's 21 personnel. And then Byron Murphy, a fairly young corner from the Cardinals, hopefully to be the new cornerback one after we, for whatever reason, let our best corner, Duke Shelley, leave. He was the third ranked cornerback overall last year, just behind Sauce Gardner and Patrick Surtain. And he was the second best corner in man-to-man, just behind what's his name? Marlon Humphrey. He was a top 3 cornerback in the league, and we just let him go. Of who the heck knows why. But yeah, now we have got Byron Murphy, young guy from the Cardinals. Is probably going to be the cornerback 1, alongside like a Caleb Evans and Andrew Booth. 2 guys are very unproven. Andrew Booth was just bad last year. Caleb Evans was okay. I mean, like, I know when we played against the Redskins, he had a decent stop on 3rd down when he was going to Terry McLaurin, possibly a top 5 receiver in the league. But he just had so many concussions, similar to Christian Darrisaw. It was just unfortunate. Garrett Bradbury, another guy, he was so bad. Every single guy on our offensive line other than Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw were just terrible until last year. Our offensive line, I think, was like one of the best statistically. At least it was like the best offensive line season for most of them, or at least for the past few years. I mean, Kirkland still got sacked the most, and I'm not sure how that comes together. We had like statistically, I think actually according to PFF, we had a top 10 offensive line in the league. Maybe that was early on in the season, but then Kirk Cousins got sacked the most times in his career. I think he got sacked like over 50 times, which was the most he's ever gotten sacked. Maybe I had the number completely off. Patrick Peterson, another one of the veterans that we probably weren't going to keep. He ended up signing the $7 million deal with the Steelers. He's probably going to turn into the best cornerback in the league just because that's what the Steelers do. Getting like Cameron Sutton isn't that good. That's the only Steelers cornerback I know. But Patrick Peterson, he was actually like a top 5. I think he was like a top 5 ranked cornerback according to PFF, especially in like maybe man coverage at one point. But I mean, he had 2 interceptions against the Bills, but he didn't do a lot apart from that. He was okay in coverage. He got the interception against the Bears too. He and Duke Shelley both got an interception against the Bears in the last game of the year, and after Duke Shelley got an interception, the entire team just swarmed him, which was like so cool. Celebrating, obviously. But Patrick Peterson, again, the guy who's just getting old. He can't really play man coverage anymore like he used to be the best in the league at. And then, okay, I'm going to do Eric Kendricks and wherever the heck, see Jordan Hicks on here. I think this was the most stupid move we made this offseason. Not that either of these guys are good. Eric Kendricks and Jordan Hicks are both pretty bad now. They're both well out of their prime. They're both slow and they can't really play coverage. They're both okay at tackling. But I'm not sure why the heck we decided to let Eric Kendricks go. Signs about a $7 million deal with the Chargers. We let Eric Kendricks go, but we re-signed Jordan Hicks, who is just worse. Again, Eric Kendricks wasn't that good last year, but he was better than Jordan Hicks. So why did we keep Jordan Hicks instead of Eric Kendricks? I have no idea. He used to be the best coverage linebacker in the league. Like in 2020, he was an elite coverage cornerback along with Eric Wilson. We had the two of the best coverage. I keep on saying cornerbacks. 2 of the best coverage linebackers in the league, Eric Kendricks and Eric Wilson, the 2 Erics. They were really good. And it was in 2020, the most recent, the last 3 years when we had the best. We actually had statistically our best team in 2020. We had the 4th ranked offense by total yards. It was like the 10th ranked for points though. And then for defense, I think we had the 24th ranked. I'm not sure if that's yards allowed or points allowed, but I mean, it's garbage, but it's better than we had in 2021. Our offense, statistically, I don't think was as good, but obviously, why am I blanking on his name? Justin Jefferson did better. Dalvin Cook wasn't as good, though. Like, 2020, he was an absolute beast. The second best running back in the league, just behind Derrick Henry that year. Had 1,500 rushing yards. That year, it was Derrick Henry with over 2,000 rushing yards, and then it was Dalvin Cook with 1,557 rushing yards, I think. And then number 3 was Jonathan Taylor. It was Jonathan Taylor was a damn good rookie. And then 2021 2021 he only got better, and then last year he was injured a lot. Why am I going so far with him? Eric Kendricks. Yeah, he was one of the best coverage linebackers in the league until last year. I think he was actually one of the lower ranked coverage linebackers in the league last year. Pat Warner. I heard this stat. Like according to PFF, Pat Warner's coverage grade was like 86 and it was the top of the league. Eric Kendricks was like in the 40s. It was absolutely terrible. And it was really shown how bad our linebackers were in coverage, especially against the Cowboys. Jordan Hicks was man-to-man against Tony Pollard on 2 different plays. Tony Pollard ran a wheel route untouched to the end zone twice and scored 2 touchdowns that way. That game was just absolutely awful. Our offensive line was all injured, so we got constant pressure from the offensive line. We had one drive where T.J. Hawkinson dropped 2 passes that could have been touchdowns, and we ended up settling for a field goal. Let's move on. Marcus Davenport, a guy who's not played a single full season in his NFL career yet. I think he's for the most part been injured. Again, this is a guy I never watched the Saints, so I really don't know if he's that good or not. But I think he's mostly gonna play like stand up outside linebacker, like to replace like Danielle Hunter. And Marcus Davenport is. Then Dean Lowry is right below him. I almost got those two mixed up. Dean Lowry I think Dean Lowry is gonna be like the 3 tech. I'm not sure if it's a 3 tech or a 5 tech, but whatever Dalvin Tomlinson, like Jonathan Ballard was last year. Our front 7 was like never all together a single play last year. Our front 7, I know nose tackle was Harrison Phillips, and then the 3 tech defensive ends were Dalvin Tomlinson and Jonathan Bullard, and then our edge rushers were Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith, and then our 2 off-ball linebackers were Eric Kendricks and Jordan Hicks. And I mean, if you just look at that, that's not a bad front 7. That's a pretty good front 7. Got two of the best edge rushers in the league on outside linebackers. We should have been so good with those last year. Zadarius Smith was actually really good until the Bills game when he banged his knees and then got basically injured for the rest of the year. I think he was like second in the league with like 10 sacks. I think Zadarius Smith got 10 sacks and Daniel Hunter got 10.5 sacks. Zadarius Smith was a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year, but he was still surrounded by like Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, and Matthew Judon. Obviously, didn't even come close to a finalist because it was Michael Parsons, Nick Bosa, and Chris Jones, just 3 defensive linemen. Well, Michael Parsons, arguably. I'm getting way too out of hand with this. Marcus Davenport again. Like Marcus Davenport and Dean Lowry, 2 guys I really don't know much about. I never watched them, but hopefully they're good. Let's get into a guy that I do know about. Alexander Mattison, one of the best backup running backs in the league, possibly the best number 2 running back in the league who isn't named Kareem Hunt or like A.J. Dillon, who's easily one. The Vikings had I think the Vikings had possibly the best backfield in the NFL, apart from the Browns. I think the Browns have unarguably the best. They have one of the best running backs in the league with Nick Chubb, and then they have a really good running back 2 with Kareem Hunt. But apart from that, like Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison, one of the NFL's best big play threats with Dalvin Cook, but he's really a home run hitter. Like against the Dolphins, against the Bills, against the Colts, he had those the three big touchdowns against those 3 teams. Against the Colts, he topped off the. Why am I talking so much about Dalvin Cook? This is about Alexander Mattison. Alexander Mattison. He was so good in 2021 whenever he played instead of Dalvin Cook. He was so good. And then when it came to the Steelers game, because it was a game where we really had to win it to have a good shot at getting to the playoffs. So we played Dalvin Cook instead because even though he was injured, he is technically better, which obviously turned out to be a great move because he had like 2,205 yards, I think, in that game. But Alexander Mattison, Alexander Mattison is a guy that I think could get over 1,000 rushing yards if we use him enough, because I wouldn't say we don't know if he's a bell cow running back yet. He's never been used a lot because we've had Dalvin Cook, but I think this year is a huge chance for him to. He's either gonna pop out of nowhere and get like 1,100 rushing yards, or we're just gonna use a backfield by committee and all running backs are gonna get like 600 yards. Alexander Mattison, Ty Chandler, Kenny Nwangwu, DeWayne McBride. DeWayne McBride, I think, was a 7th-round pick, so he's not going to see the field probably at all this year. Andrew DePaula, the best long snapper in the league, made to the Pro Bowl somehow. What's his name? Why am I blanking on his name? Ryan something. Ugh. Vikings punter. Ryan Wright, oh my gosh, yes, the like freaking 350-pound punter. Oh my gosh, that took way too long. I'm gonna cut that out. And Andrew Paula, I'm not sure. I really wonder how Ryan Wright didn't get into the Pro Bowl, but somehow Andrew DePaula did. Maybe he just happens to be a little bit better known than Ryan Wright, but Ryan Wright was like one of the best punters last year. I don't think he ever kicked a single touchback. And he had a lot of punts inside the 20. Even for the win, just to nickname him OK Boomer because he has such a strong leg. And again, I keep on talking about one guy moving over to the other guys. Andrew DePaula, again, yeah, he's one of the best long snappers in the league. Re-signed him to a $1 million deal, $1.5 million deal. Nick Mullins, actually a pretty solid backup when he played like against the Redskins for like one snap, or when he played against the Bears in the last game. Again, all the backups were in, but still we kind of smoked the Bears 29-13. Not technically a blowout since it wasn't a 3-possession lead, but still a pretty good game. Nick Mullins, yeah, he's a solid backup behind Kirk Cousins, who was a top 5 cornerback in the league on his best days. On his worst days, every quarterback is bad. But I'd say he's a top 10 cornerback, at least borderline top 10. And then Nick Mullins behind him. Oli Udoh, one of the worst. He was so bad. In 2021, he got so many holding calls. Like every other play. I remember when we played the Lions in the second game against them, when we allowed the 4th and 10 touchdown with no time left. Jared got through to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Oli Udoh, he always holds. He's like Tom Compton and Mike Remmers. We had those two offensive linemen, they held so much. At least half of all our penalties were just holding calls from them. And then Oli Udoh just came by and was like, no, don't worry, I'll hold for you now. And we still have him, I guess. I think maybe he's just still under contract or something. Greg Joseph, the most up and down kicker in the entire league. He was automatic from under 50 yards last year, but could not make a single field goal above 50 yards. I think he made 2 field goals. His one field goal he made against the Packers week 1, it was like a 53 or 54 yard field goal, and then the 61 yarder against the Giants that he made. I'm pretty sure the Giants, that was the first 50 yard field goal he had made since the first Packers game. He was just if you have a kicker, you want him to be able to rely on him to kick up to like 55 yards, at least 50 yards. But basically, if he kicked a field goal from 49 yards and 2.5 feet, basically 50 yards, 49 yards, 2.5 feet, he would nail that field goal. But the moment you make it 50 yards, he would just shank it because he could not make it from above 50 yards. Irv Smith, Kind of glad he left because he was just, again, he was such an up and down guy. He's either injured, he's gonna drop pass, or on a third down against the Lions, he's gonna make a diving catch near the sideline. He too unpredictable. Jonathan Bullard, he didn't do a whole lot last year. I think he was like injured or something. I don't remember ever seeing him. I think he was like one play, but he was never really around. Duke Shelley, one of the best cornerbacks in the league. Some of the Vikings decided it was a good idea to let him go, even though Quesido is a guy that found Duke Shelley off the Bears. When the Bears tried using him in the slot, which he's not a slot cornerback, he put him on the outside. He was a lockdown defender. He had the good pass breakup against Dawson Knox against Dawson Knox against the Bills in overtime. Josh Allen threw to the corner of the end zone. It was to Dawson Knox, but Duke Shelley broke it up, and we ended up getting an interception by Patrick Peterson. Duke Shelley, we should have easily re-signed him. And then we must, what's his name? I'm looking at Quesido Fomensa. He must have been like lowballing Duke Shelley for re-sign, and which is why Duke Shelley posted on Twitter that I'm a bet on me. Basically, players mean that, meaning they're gonna just look for the best deal that they can. They think they can get a higher deal, and he obviously did. He ended up going to the Raiders. He was such a good cornerback last year. Obviously, none of our cornerbacks were amazing, but he was really good last year. Shannon Sullivan, one of the worst slot cornerbacks in the league. I remember when we placed against the Lions in our first game, they had a 4th and 5. We had Shannon Sullivan guarding Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown ran a slant route. He was wide open to get down to like the inch-yard line. Inch-yard line, yeah, that's a thing. On a 4th and 5, just blew that coverage. He also blew coverage against Darnell Mooney in the Vikings' first game against the Bears. Then again, he played excellent coverage on him. Darnell Mooney just somehow got up, one hands it. Shannon Sullivan never got like a good hand on him to like jam him at the line. Darnell Mooney got like right around him. They were both running, and then Justin Fields just throws up to Darnell Mooney. He goes up for the catch somehow. I don't know, but you can't really get mad at that. Chris Boyd, the guy, I think he's like better on special teams, but he was never a good cornerback with the Vikings. So I forgot. Shannon Sullivan and Chris Boyd all went to both left. Let's see. So 3 in a row. Duke Shelley, Shannon Sullivan, Chris Boyd, all cornerbacks left for the. They just left. We have like no cornerbacks now. Brandon Powell, not sure who that is, so I'm going to skip him. Troy Reeder, same thing. Austin Schlottman. He's a guy, he was always a backup lineman, so he didn't much see the light of day, other than like when Garrett Bradbury was injured and Chris Reed came out to start, or like, can't remember what our guy's name. Let's see, we have Christian Darrisaw, Ezra Cleveland. I think Ezra Cleveland was out, and like Blake Brandel came in. Blake Brandel, Austin Schlottman came in. But yeah, our interior line was just not that good last year, and Austin Schlottman hasn't played much. I'm not going to talk much about him. Then we got Joanne Williams from the Patriots. He's a Patriots cornerback, so he's actually at least decent. Or he's not. But I mean, we have Brian Flores, so he'll handle it anyway. Guy, I don't know much about most of these guys other than the guys who left the Vikings, so can't comment much on him. And then we have like the guys the Vikings let go. B.C. Johnson, the 7th round pick, who actually was decent, like a decent number 3 receiver in 2019 when we went mid to the playoffs. Got Kenny Willekes, we let go. He just hasn't done much. Thomas Hennigan, I have no idea who that is. He's supposedly a wide receiver, but whatever. Dalvin Cook, it's so weird. It went on for so long about obviously the Vikings re-signed Alexander Mattison, so we were not going to keep Dalvin Cook. We would not use both running backs. But then for so long we didn't let Dalvin Cook go. We didn't make it official. And then finally, we officially let him go, which it was about time. I don't know why. On the Vikings Monday morning mailbag, a lot of people said that was one of the biggest blunders that Quincy Mensa has done. Yes, he's one of the best big play threats in the NFL, but he's also injury prone. He's never out. Last year was his first full season, and he had 1,100 rushing yards. That's 60 yards per game. He's legitimately not. He's really good, but we also have a man by the name of Alexander Mattison on our team who can back him up just fine, and he's getting old. So that's guy he'd probably get injured next season and just fall off anyway. So what? I don't know why people were so obsessed with that. Then again, I'm obsessed with letting Eric Hendricks go and keeping Jordan Hicks. So I guess I know better, but whatever. Now I gotta go to the Vikings website. Okay, so we have 6 guys who it's gonna be pretty easy to comment on all of them. We got first round pick Jordan Addison, pick 23. Okay, finally loaded. Luckily, we only had 6 picks, so it's gonna be pretty easy to comment on all of them. Start off with Jordan Addison, the first round pick, number 23. Since it was the first round pick, my oldest brother William, my dad and I, we all went to the Vikings draft party at US Bank Stadium. We got to watch the first round, and pick 23. He technically wasn't pick 23. He was pick 24, but the Dolphins got their pick taken away from them, their 23rd pick because of tampering they did in 2019 or 20. It was something when there were rumors of Tom Brady possibly buying the Dolphins or becoming a manager there or something. So that they are tampering there. I'm not sure how those are connected, but somehow they are. Anyways, Jordan. We instead of 24 pick, we ended up picking at 23, and so Jordan Addison. First of all, it was relieving that we actually made a pick that. And instead of trading back or trading out of the first round, we actually made a pick, so that was nice. And then also, I'm not kidding, I was so intent. I was hoping we draft Will Levis to have a new quarterback after Kirk Cousins, but he also puts mayonnaise in his coffee, so no. And then, or I was hoping for maybe Joey Porter Jr. Decent man coverage cornerback. And when Roger Goodell was about to announce our pick, I was so intent to listen to it. I heard Joe and Jordan Addison, and I legit thought he was gonna say Joey Porter. Then I heard him say Jordan, and I was kind of disappointed. It was weird that we took a wide receiver in our first round. We have the best receiver in the game and a top 3 tight end in the game, and then we have a good cornerback, good quarterback, and a solid running back. Why do we need a wide receiver right now? We even have KJ Osborne, who's a solid wide receiver 2-3. Not quite as good to be a wide receiver 2, but he's one of the best wide receiver 3s in the league. I decided to pick Jordan Addison for some reason. But I mean, I don't know. He's honestly one of the guys. I've had the same feeling with Justin Jefferson when he was drafted. I just had a feel. I'm not even kidding. In 2020, after we picked Justin Jefferson, I just had a feeling that he was going to be really good. I watched some of his highlights from training camp, and I thought that he was something in him that he was going to be really good. Ends up being the best receiver in the league. I have this kind of the same feeling with Jordan Addison. At the same time, I don't expect him to be that good. I don't think he's going to break even 1,000 yards. I think he's probably going to get 700 yards this year. He's probably going to get about the same or maybe a little bit less than KJ Osborne, maybe a little less just because he's a rookie. But I can see him actually being a pretty good wide receiver 2-3, depending on how much we use KJ Osborne. And then Mekhi Becton, the cornerback, obviously a position of need from USC. He and Jordan Addison both from USC. I don't have much of an opinion on him because I just don't know about him. I know Mekhi Becton, not Mekhi Blackman. So I'll skip him. Jay Ward, a safety, since Harrison Smith is getting old. we'll need a guy to come out for him. And also, since Lewis Singh got injured, he was supposed to be like a direct replacement for Harrison Smith, just a pure hard-hitting safety. At that point, just make him a linebacker. Even if he's a small linebacker, just make him a linebacker. He's obviously, I don't know if he's much of a coverage safety. All I know is that he's a big hitter. Yeah, like Harrison Smith or like Jamal Adams, someone like that. Or like Steve Atwater, though I don't know. I think Steve Atwater is also a pretty good coverage safety. Brian Dawkins, all the hardest hitting safeties. So we got Jay Ward as a safety, as Harrison Smith is getting old, but I don't know much about it. Again, I said I probably wouldn't talk that much about the draft because I just don't know much about these guys. Because Jay Ward and our 5th round pick, Jacqueline Roy, are both from LSU. Jacqueline Roy, a nose tackle, since I guess we got rid of Harrison Phillips. He wasn't on like spot rack for the free agents, but I'm not sure what's happening with him. Harrison Phillips just wasn't that good of a big nose tackle run stopper. So Jacqueline Roy is supposed to come in as a big 300-pound nose tackle. So hopefully improve our run defense. Then we got Jaron Hall, hopefully the replacement for Kirk Cousins. 5th round pick from BYU. I mean, we know how BYU quarterbacks turn out. MILF man. Anyways, MILF Hunter. Jaron. I feel like I've heard some stuff that he's doing pretty good during training camp, but that's training camp, so you can't trust it too much. Hopefully he's pretty good during the preseason. I remember when we drafted, I think it was 2020 when we drafted Kellen Mond, and he was just supposed to be like I remember it was 2021 because I talked about it in my first podcast ever before the 2021 season. Drafted Kellen Mond. He was a really good scrambler, but he was not accurate at all. I remember watching him during the 2022 preseason. He scrambled all over the place, and he had a guy pretty open in the back of the end zone. I think it was like B.C. Johnson or one of the backup receivers, and he just throws it right over his head. Kellen Mond was just not good at all. Then we also had Sean Mannion, just the big fatty who wasn't that good. Then like Jaron Hall. Jaron Hall, I don't know what to expect from him. We're gonna have Kirk Cousins this season, probably next year too. Although we have not extended Kirk Cousins past this year, but I do know we extended his number of void years or something. So maybe that's something. Then DeWayne McBride from UAB. I'm not sure what that college is, but DeWayne McBride's supposed hopefully to just be another backup to Alexander Mattison. So we have Alexander Mattison, and then right behind him we have, I think it's Kennedy Nwangwu and then Ty Chandler. Ty Chandler is an absolute rocket. He's so fast. During the preseason last year, I watched him. Every time he took the handoff, it looked like a cannon shot right up the middle. And DeWayne McBride was just Ty Chandler would just shoot out because he's such a fast player. And then DeWayne McBride, he's a guy I don't know what to expect from him. It's weird, DeWayne McBride, not just DeWayne McBride. His parents decided to be a little bit creative, even though that's what white parents were supposed to do. But whatever, like Jaron Hall, who comes up with that name? Anyways, that's about as much I'm gonna talk about the draft, just because I really don't have an opinion on much of the guys here. I think Jordan Addison could be really good, but again, they're all rookies, so we don't know. I'll be honest, this is such a bad picture of Justin Jefferson. He looks so weird in that picture. Then I want to look at the team depth chart because honestly, so we have running back, quarterback Kirk Cousins, Nick Mullins. I don't know why they have not updated this. Alexander Mattison, number 2. He should be number 1. He should be number 1. Kennedy Nwangwu behind him, and Ty Chandler, and then DeWayne McBride back here. We got C.J. Ham starting fullback, one of the best fullbacks in the game. Justin Jefferson, We still have Adam Thielen in there. Oh my gosh. Why do we have Adam Thielen there? Then behind we got it'll really be Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, then like KJ Osborne, Jalen. I don't know if we're still gonna have Jalen Rager, and like Jalen Naylor, and then we have like Tristan Jackson, some random guy who just probably on the practice squad right now. T.J. Hawkinson, one of the best tight ends in the league. Followed by it'll be Josh Oliver and Johnny Munt. And then Christian Durasol, Blake Brandel, Vidarian Lowe, left tackle. I'm not sure why we have three there. We only have one left guard, Ezra Cleveland. We have Garrett Bradbury, Ed Ingram, and Oli Udoh. Wait, do we not have Brian O'Neill anymore? No, that doesn't make any sense. I'm kind of confused about that. Also, wait, I just realized, why is it that Adam Thielen hasn't been removed from the depth chart, but Dalvin Cook has, even though Adam Thielen was way before Dalvin Cook? That makes no sense. But got Oli Udoh and Blake Brandel, two kind of trash tackles. And then on the defense, so we're not gonna have Danielle Hunter or Zadarius Smith. I cannot see us keeping either of them. So I fully expect our I fully expect our defensive line to look like, I guess, Harrison Phillips as a nose tackle, though Khyiris Tonga I think actually pretty good. He's a lot bigger. I remember seeing him against the Bears. He got right past and just smoked the Bears running back. He's such a big guy. We got Ross Blacklock, and then it'll be Dean Lowry, our two defensive ends. And then the linebackers, Patrick Jones. It'll be Patrick Jones and DJ Wanham. Two young guys who could both be like really good or just not pan out into anything. I want to actually see Pat Jones, like his stats maybe. He's a pretty regular size for that. 15 tackles, 4 sacks. I did not know about that. Dang, that's actually better than I thought. A lot better. So let's see. He had his best game was not surprisingly against the Bears. He had 4 total tackles and 4 total tackles and then one sack. He also had a sack against the Jets. 2 sacks against the Dolphins. I did not know about that. I did not know he had 2 sacks against the Dolphins. But yeah, Patrick Jones is a guy I don't expect him to be that good, but I feel like our defensive line, again, I love the Vikings, so I want them to be really good. I honestly think that having our defensive line be like Patrick Jones, going from all the from side to side, Patrick Jones, and then like Ross Blacklock, Khyiris Tonga, and then either Dean Lowry or Asazi Atomihu, since he's the young guy, and then DJ Wanham on the edge, or maybe Luigi Villain. I feel like all those guys just could be so good. I don't know. I feel like all those guys could be 10 sack dudes. Have a defensive line like the 49ers in 2019 when they had Nick Bosa, who had 9.5 sacks, I think, in 2019, and then Eric Armstead and DeForest Buckner. Such a good defensive line. 3 just absolute monsters on the defensive line. And that was just Eric Armstead and Nick Bosa. Our linebackers, we gotta adjust that. It's Jordan Hicks and Troy Dye. Although I hope that Brian Flores can get Brian Asamoah more on the field since he's a young rookie. Not rookie, he's a young guy. Get Brian Asamoah and like Troy Dye as our off-ball linebackers. Cameron Dantzler I don't think Cameron Dantzler is with us anymore. I'm pretty sure we let him go. We waived him. I think we let him go. He signed with like the Dolphins or somewhere, and then they also let him go after just a few days. So we can't really get to anyone. So right now we only have Kalon Barnes as our cornerback. That's scary. We should have a Caleb Evans and Andrew Booth here though. Then our safeties Harrison Smith and Cameron Bynum. Why do we have Josh Metellus and Theo Jackson on here, but we don't have Lewis Seen? We really should have Lewis Seen on there somewhere, but whatever. Special teams: Greg Joseph, kicker; Ryan Wright as the punter and holder; Andrew DePaula as the long snapper; and then kicker returner Kenny Nwangwu, one of the best in the entire league. And then Jalen Rager as punt returner. Again, he's a solid punt returner last year. He had a huge punt return against the Colts. It was supposed to be a huge punt return, but then not only did he decide to run right into like two of his own guys on the sideline, so he couldn't return it for a touchdown, but also somehow, I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was Chris Boyd, because I'm pretty sure it was number 29, who supposedly got like a illegal holding or blocked in the back on the punt return, and when I watched it back, barely anything happened. He might have held him like a little bit, but it was nothing that should have been a penalty. So I'm confused why that happened. Got the speedy Ty Chandler as our second returner. KJ Osborne, he was never a good return man, ever. I remember before the 2021 season, I talked about the Vikings depth chart before the first game, or maybe what. I don't know if it was against the Bengals or the first game against the Cardinals. But I remember seeing him on the depth chart ahead of D.D. Westbrook, who I expected to be the number 3 target after Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. But he actually didn't do anything. I said KJ Osborne would not be a good receiver because he would be. I expected him to be similar to Cordell Patterson, more of a return man than an actual receiver, but he ended up being a really good receiver, at least really good wide receiver 3. And now I'm gonna finish off the video by looking at the 2023 schedule, which has been released, I believe. Yeah, it has been released. The Vikings have one of the toughest schedules in the entire league, unsurprisingly, but. So we face Tampa Bay Buccaneers week 1. It'll be nice to beat the heck out of Baker Mayfield and whoever their running back is. Eagles week 2 again. Why? The Eagles are a team last year, like when we played the Bills or like the Chiefs, the 49ers. Those are one of those teams we could beat. The Vikings are a team we can beat any team in the league. Obviously, any team can beat any team any week. But the Vikings are the one team that can legitimately beat any team in the league, but also lose to any team in the league. Like last year, when we came back against the Bills, down 17 points. We came back to beat them, but then the following week against the Cowboys, we got smoked. Now, we move on to the Chargers. Justin Herbert has gotten a lot better, but the Chargers are a team. They could have such a stacked team, but still just be trash, which is like how it was last year. They had Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack as their 2 outside linebackers. It could have been the best linebacking duo in the NFL, other than the Vikings. Then they also signed, what's his name? He's from the Patriots. I can't quite remember his name. Like one of their cornerbacks. J.C. Jackson? Is that his name? Who are the Chargers cornerbacks?
These are the listed quarterbacks for the Chargers. I found this on the web.
Where is it? Maybe they don't have him anymore. or whatever. I couldn't find it, but I'm pretty sure it was J.C. Jackson. He was like nicknamed Mr. INT from the Patriots. The Chargers were supposed to be like the next such a good team. The AFC West was expected to be by far the best division in the NFL. Like the AFC West, NFC West, and AFC North supposed to be the three best divisions in all the NFL. All happen to be just kind of garbage. Though I think the NFC West wasn't awful. Obviously the Seahawks and the 49ers. But the Chargers, they were expected to be so good with all the free agents that went to the AFC West, and then they all happened to be just trash other than the Chiefs. The Carolina Panthers, Week 4, will face Bryce Young. Not sure who the running back is, and Adam Thielen. Gosh. So, yeah, we'll face Adam Thielen week 4 for the first time. I would not, as long as we win, I would not be mad to see him get like 100 yards or like 120 yards and a touchdown on us. But at the same time, I could see him getting like 50 yards and not doing much. Got the Chiefs Week 5, a team that we could either get smoked like 35-10, although we're the Vikings, so we're not gonna let that happen. We're gonna probably lose like 31-21 towards the end of the game, and then the Bears, such a flip of the coin team, especially when we're at Soldier Field. The 49ers, similar to the Chiefs, we could either edge them out or get smoked by them. Got the Packers at Lambeau Field. Last year, we played so good against them in Week 1. Zadarius Smith was an absolute monster against Aaron Rodgers, but then when we played at Green Bay, the Blaze was slipping all over the field because he was just super wet. The Falcons with Desmond Ridder and whoever else they have, Kyle Pitts and Drake London and Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson, I think. The Saints, who it should not have been such a close game last year. We edged them out 20-25. We kicked so many field goals. It bothers me so much that at one point the score was like 19-14. We had obviously way better offense than the Saints do. We have the better quarterback, Kirk Cousins over Andy Dalton. We have a better running back. Obviously, we have Dalvin Cook over Mark Ingram, and or maybe Latavius Murray. We have the better receivers. We have Justin Jefferson. We got Adam Thielen. We got KJ Osborne, but then the Saints just have I think what's his name? Antonio Callaway, or no, it's not Antonio Callaway. Something, or I can't quite remember what his name is. I think it might be Antonio Callaway. Then they also have Chris Olave, who was actually really good last year. And then they have like one more guy, I think. But we have obviously way better offense than them. They scored way more touchdowns than we did. Eventually they went up 22-21 against us. That was just bad. And then it was 22-19. We scored a touchdown and we missed the PAT. So it was a 3-point game. Allowed the Saints to kick a field goal, but then we eventually went on to win the game. The Broncos against Russell Wilson. We beat him in 2021, the first time the Vikings had ever beaten Russell Wilson. The Bears, whatever. Raiders, Bengals, Lions, Packers. Lions get wet. We played the Lions twice within 3 weeks. That's going to be interesting. Anyways, so that's going to be it for the video. This is going to be a long video. Always, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell, comment the videos you want to see. And as always, never forget, the Packers will always suck. And Skol Vikings.